Okay, welcome back everybody. I've got everything all drilled out and ready to look at pinning, putting things together, and seeing what I can assemble now and paint and what I can't. And the big thing is when you're doing figure painting, you want to be able to get to everything that you have to paint. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a quick dry fitting and make sure of what I can paint now and what I can paint separately, or what I'm going to need to paint separately. And right away, putting these parts together, the torso to the legs fits great. Not a problem there. All the seam works. There's no major gaps that I'm going to need to deal with. But when I put the top on to the torso, I notice I've got a pretty good gap along in here that I'm going to have to work on, along the front, pretty much along this whole seam. So unfortunately, I'd like to paint these three in separate pieces, but I'm really not going to be able to. And the reason is the like her shirt and her pants look to be the same glossy kind of latex material, while the torso section is more of a flat, like a leather. So I'd really like to be able to paint that separate, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. But I can paint the legs separate, and then the torso, and I'm probably going to have to put the arms on at the same right now also. So that'll be nice, because what's going to happen, I'm going to have my pin in here, and I'll be holding this, and turning it. And if I have it all together at once, it's just going to be a lot harder to work with. I'll eventually, if I were to paint this all as one piece like that, I'm going to end up rubbing or scraping, or having to go back and do touch-up paint work that I really don't want to do. So let's see the rest of it here. The arm to the gun, let me make sure I get the arm with the gun part fits in nice and tight. Okay, that's beautiful. I could almost glue that together without anything, but I know if I do, something's gonna break at some point. So I'm still gonna pin it. Got a little bit of putty work to do. See, let's get this in here, see if you can see. The problem with the resin, some resin parts, you end up with voids or pits. Okay, so that I'm going to have to end up puttying. And there's also quite a few pits along this top edge. Okay, and that's pretty normal. Thinner parts, is sitting in the mold like this, the top half and the bottom half, and thin pieces like that without any additional like runners coming off of it, you're going to end up with some bubbles. Overall though, this is a beautiful piece. It's one of the smoothest cast pieces I've seen, really, so I have no complaints about having to go back and finish up a little bit of work there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my pins and epoxy them in there and go from there.